Hey everyone, and welcome! Today, we're going to jump into Michael Gear's fantastic book, Micro Frontends in Action. We're going to break down this really powerful way of thinking about and building massive web applications. So, if you're ready, let's dive right in.
So, let's start with a question. Does this feel familiar? You've got this web app, right? It started out all nice and clean, but then it grew. More features got bolted on, more teams started working on it, more code got piled in, and now, before you know it, it's this giant, tangled beast, and making any little change feels super risky and takes forever. Sound about right?
Well, that monster, it has a name. It's called the front-end monolith. And that is the core problem that the entire micro front-end architecture was created to solve. So let's really dig into why this happens. You know, this quote from the book's preface really just hits the nail on the head. The issue with a monolith isn't just about the code, it's about the people. The whole goal here, like Gear says, is to figure out a way to let teams actually work on their own stuff without constantly tripping over each other.
And this right here, this is the trap. Feature development just grinds to a halt. Why? Because everyone's terrified of touching one thing and accidentally breaking something totally unrelated on the other side of the app. And trying to bring a new developer up to speed? Oh, that's a nightmare, because you're basically handing them this giant tangled ball of code and saying, good luck. It's this cycle where the more people you throw at the problem, the slower everything gets. It's super frustrating.
So, how in the world do you escape this trap? Well, the answer is what this whole explainer is about: micro frontends.
The idea, when you boil it down, is actually pretty simple. Instead of having one giant front-end code base, you just break it up. You create a bunch of smaller, more focused little front-end apps. Each one is owned by a specific team. And, this is the key part, it can be deployed all by itself. Then all these little pieces get composed or kind of stitched together to create what looks and feels to the user like one single seamless website.
Okay, so the big question you're probably asking right now is, wait, how do you actually stitch all these independent apps together? That is the question, right? And the book gets into several really cool ways to do it. So what this shows us is that there's no single correct way. It's all about picking the right tool for what you're trying to do. The simplest way? Just good old-fashioned page links connecting totally separate apps. Then you've got iframes, which are amazing for kind of boxing in an old legacy app or a third-party tool without having to rewrite it. But for that really slick, modern single-page app feel, you're looking at client-side composition. And that's really just a fancy term for using JavaScript to pull all the different pieces together right there in the user's browser. The main takeaway? It all depends on what you need.
Of course, micro frontends are not a silver bullet. I mean, nothing ever is, right? It's a really powerful idea, but it comes with its own set of trade-offs. It's super important that we look at both sides of the coin here.
And you can really see the balance here. On the one hand, the pros are huge. You get those autonomous teams we talked about, you get independent deployments, you can ship features faster, and you even get the freedom for different teams to use different technologies if they want. But on the other side of the scale, there are some heavy cons. You open the door to new problems like redundancy, different teams including the same library. It becomes a real challenge to keep the UI and UX consistent across the board, and there's no way around it. It's just more complex to manage operationally.
So with all those trade-offs in mind, when does this architecture actually make sense? When should you really consider doing this? Let's look at the ideal situations.
This approach really starts to shine in very specific contexts. We're talking medium to large projects, where you've got several teams all needing to build stuff at the same time. It's also a perfect match for products that you can naturally split into different business areas. Think about an e-commerce site. You've got search, you've got the product page, you've got the shopping cart. Those are all distinct domains. And really, if your main goal is to let those different parts of your UI change and deploy on their own schedules, well, then micro frontends might be exactly what you're looking for.
And that brings us right back around to the big question. When you look at your own projects, at the pain points you're feeling every day, and at the sheer complexity of your application, is it time to think about breaking up your monolith? Hopefully this explainer has given you a pretty good framework to start answering that for yourself. Thanks for joining me.